Good day everyone! Today, we're gonna talk about chemical and hazardous materials. How to keep our environment, employees, facilities safe regarding hazardous chemicals. First, we're gonna talk about hazardous signs and the meaning of each of them. What is hazard? Kind of hazards. How to identify what kind of hazard it is. And what does it mean? Second, we're gonna talk about chemicals. Example of harmful chemicals, how does it harm us, and the effect of it. Third, we're gonna talk about chemical hazard awareness, identifying hazardous chemicals, the signs and symptoms of chemical exposure, and how to avoid hazards. And lastly, we're gonna talk about chemical and hazardous preparedness, design and facility operation, testing and maintenance, communication or alarm system, evaluation and review, arrangement, and evacuation plan. Now, we're gonna talk about hazardous sign. So first, we're gonna talk about toxic sign. It indicates that there are something harmful things like solid, liquid, and gases, and to prevent them away from it. And the second one is the flammable. It indicates that there's a material that ignites easily and burns rapidly with a flame. Example of this is gas and kerosene and other flammable substances. And the third one is the explosive sign. So explosive sign indicates that the substance is a solid or liquid substance which is in itself capable by chemical reaction that can damage the surroundings in such type. The number one example of this is gas tank. And the fourth one is caution sign. So caution sign indicates a possible hazard or unsafe practices like, for example, is floor slippery, hot water, and etc.
And the fifth sign is oxidizing. Provide oxygen to make other substances more fiercely. And the sixth sign is corrosive substances. Corrosive are materials that attack and chemically destroy exposed body tissues. Corrosive can also damage or even destroy metal. The corrosive begin to cause damage soon as they touch the skin, eyes, respiratory tract, digestive tract, or the metal. The seventh sign is environmental hazard. Is a substance, a state of uneven which has a potential threat the surrounding natural environment or adversely affects people's health, including pollution and natural disasters such as storm and earthquakes. And the eighth sign is compressed gas. It's a substance that is a gas of normal room temperature and pressure and contained under pressure usually in the cylinder. Some compressed gas, example, acetylene, are stabilize the cylinder by dissolving a gas in a liquid or solid matrix.
And today, we will talk about harmful effect of chemical. But ano nga ba ang chemical? Chemical is any substance consisting of matter. And this includes any liquid, solid, or gas. And chemical is any pure substance or any mixture. Ang chemical ay ginagamit natin sa pang-araw-araw. At ang mga chemical na ito ay pwedeng magdulot sa atin ng masama sa ating pangangatawan. And today, I will give you some example of a harmful chemical you probably use every day. And such as perfume. Perfume contains acetone, ethanol, formaldehyde, methylene chloride. Mattresses contains foam, synthetic latex, and flame retardants. Cleaning products contain ammonia solution, calcium hypochlorite, critic acid, and sodium hypochlorite. Cosmetics. Cosmetic contains parabens, talcum powder, nanoparticle, and lead acetate. Shampoo. Shampoo contains ammonium chloride, glycol, and sodium boryl sulfate. And I will give you an example of a harmful chemical. Aluminum. Aluminum has been noted to cause impaired memory or convulsion. Chromium may cause skin damage and hypersensitivity long-term. Exposure may lead to lung cancer. Carbon monoxide. may cause headache, eye irritation, and coma. Carcinogens may cause cancer. Nitrates, nitrite, phosphate, and sulfate may cause dizziness, abdominal cramps, vomiting, bloody diarrhea, and convulsion. Copper dust fume, when inhaled, may cause irritation in the respiratory tract. Zinc oxide fumes on lungs may cause influenza, fever, sweating, and muscular weakness.
These reports provides information through chemicals and hazardous materials awareness. The first step is to learn how to know if a chemical is hazardous. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration defines hazardous chemicals as any chemical that is physical or health hazard. Health hazard are chemicals that cause acute or chronic health effect to exposed people. Includes carcinogens, reproductive toxins, irritants, corrosives, hepatotoxin or liver toxins, and nephrotoxins or kidney toxins. For physical hazard, can be combustible liquids, compressed gases, explosive, flammable, organic peroxides, and water reactive. Second, you must know the signs and the symptoms of physical exposure. There are many potentially hazardous chemicals in the workplace and several ways to expose to chemical, such as inhalation or vapors, spill and leaks, and engulfment. Knowing the danger and knowing the routes of exposure that chemicals take to enter the body is the first step to getting help. Toxic chemical can enter the body through lungs, skin, digestive system, and through cuts and punctures. Learn to avoid these hazards and look for symptoms of chemical exposure. After all incidents, acute effects show up after a single brief exposure to materials. It includes rashes or skin irritation, headaches, and burns. Repeated or prolonged exposure to hazard materials can result in chronic effects. They may take weeks, months, or even years to show up in the effect of the amount and frequency of exposure. Example is liver and kidney, nerve and brain disease, and reproductive damage. And for the last reminder of this report for awareness, a chemical hygiene plan or CHP is the best method to map out what should be done in hazardous chemical exposure situation. A CHP is a detailed strategy for controlling hazard in a given location and should be identify all the hazard present in that area for effectively controlling those hazardous materials. This can be and will save lives. And that's all.
Now we're going to talk about the preparedness. Number 1, design and facility operations. To maintain the good housekeeping, chemical waste generated in classroom are transported to the waste storage area regularly. Within the waste accumulation, room waste are separated according to hazard class. Number 2, testing and maintenance. All equipment listed are inspected and used routinely and maintained in working order. This equipment is maintained by facilities operations, personnel, or constructors as necessary. Number 3, communications or alarm systems. Employees involved in all phases are waste handling have immediate access to both internal and external communication systems. Number 4, required isolated space to allow unobstructed move of personnel, fire protection equipment, spill control equipment, and decontamination equipment to any area of facility operation in an emergency unless isolated space is not needed for any of purposes. Number 5, evaluation and review. The plan shall be evaluated every time it is implemented. Our employees shall be informed of any changes in timely manner. Number 6, arrangement with local authorities. The purpose of this is to familiarize, especially the employees, the emergency response teams with the layout of the facility in
danger. Properties of hazardous waste handled at the facilities in associated hazard places where facility personnel would normally be working. Entrances to foods, roads inside the facility and possible evacuation routes. And lastly, evacuation plans. The purpose of this plan is to provide for the safe and orderly evacuation of personnel and visitors in the event of an emergency situation. This plan contains procedures on how to report an emergency to who and who will assist you. That's